Welcome back to the show where we explore the ancient wisdom of the natural world and how it applies to our modern lives. I'm your host, Miles, representing Back to Your Roots Herbs. And today we are going to explore a topic that is fundamentally about resilience. We often hear about anti-aging, which suggests a battle against time, a battle we are destined to lose eventually. But there is a different perspective, one found in the high mountains of Siberia, the deserts of the East, and the forests of Africa. This is the perspective of longevity, not just adding years to life, but adding life to those years. We are talking about preserving the functional integrity of the male body, the structural strength, the hormonal balance, and the cognitive sharpness that defines true vitality. When we look at male aging in the modern medical context, we tend to fragment it. We talk about muscle loss, or sarcopenia. We talk about bone density loss. We talk about the decline in testosterone. We treat these as separate issues. But the traditional systems we are going to discuss today, specifically the yang tonifying schools of the East and the adaptogenic lineages of the North, view these as interconnected. They see them as manifestations of a declining vital force, often conceptualized as kidney essence, or jing. Think of this essence as your adaptive energy, the battery pack you were born with. The herbs we are discussing today are the architects that help reinforce that structure and recharge that battery. But before we get into the specific botanicals, I need to share a crucial secret that almost everyone misses. If you walk into a health food store and buy a raw powder of some of these herbs, you might be throwing your money away. The magic isn't just in the plant, it is in the processing. In traditional traditions, this is known as Pao Ji. It is the art of chemically altering the plant to unlock its potential. Raw consumption often yields poor results because our bodies simply cannot digest the material, or the active compounds are locked away behind cellular walls. Throughout this episode, I'm going to highlight exactly how these herbs must be prepared to actually work, because the difference between a raw herb and a processed one is the difference between a simple laxative and a life-changing tonic. Let's begin our journey in the Gobi Desert with a botanical that I consider the premier foundation for male longevity. It's called Cistanche tubulosa. You might hear it referred to as desert ginseng, or by its traditional name, Rao Kong Rong. This is a fascinating plant because it is parasitic. It has no chlorophyll of its own. It absorbs nutrients from the roots of desert host plants, thriving in one of the harshest environments on Earth. This resilience is exactly what it imparts to the human body. Cistanche is revered for tonifying kidney yang, which encompasses mitochondrial function, literally how your cells produce energy, and reproductive drive. Modern science has identified the compounds responsible for this: phenylethanoid glycosides, specifically echinacoside and actioside. These are potent antioxidants that protect our nervous system and support hormonal health. But here is the catch I mentioned earlier. Raw cistanche is considered slippery in traditional texts. It has a high galactitol content, which means if you just eat the raw powder, it acts more like a laxative than a longevity tonic. To fix this, the herb undergoes a process called wine steaming. The sliced herb is soaked in yellow rice wine and then steamed for a specific time at high heat. This isn't just for flavor. The heat and the alcohol drive a chemical reaction that converts certain compounds into more bioavailable forms and reduces the laxative effect. It directs the energy of the herb specifically to the kidneys. So, when you are looking for Cistanche, you want to ensure it has been prepared correctly, or you are missing the vast majority of the benefit. Moving from the metabolic foundation to the structural framework of the body, we have to talk about Eucamia ulmoides. As men age, the connective tissue, the knees, the lower back, the ligaments, often becomes the weak link. You might have the energy to run, but your knees say no. Eucamia is the answer to this. It is the bark of a relic tree species, the only survivor of its entire plant family. What makes Eucamia unique in the botanical world is that it contains a type of latex, a rubber-like substance called gutta percha. If you were to snap a piece of fresh Eucamia bark in half and pull it apart, you would see these fine, silvery threads of rubber connecting the two pieces. This rubber represents the strength and flexibility it offers to our tendons and bones. However, that same rubber matrix traps the medicinal compounds, the lignans and iridoids, making them incredibly difficult for your stomach to extract. If you boil raw Eucamia bark, you get very little medicine. The traditional solution is brilliant in its chemistry. It's called salt frying. The bark is mixed with salt water and then stir-fried at a very high temperature, around 175 to 185 degrees Celsius. This creates a thermal shock. The salt acts as an electrolyte, and combined with the heat, it fractures that rubber lattice. It essentially breaks the microscopic wires holding the structure together. Science shows that this salt frying process increases the extraction of the active compounds by 5 to 10 times compared to the raw bark. Furthermore, in traditional theory, salt is the flavor that guides the medicine to the kidneys and the skeletal system. So, for any man looking to protect his back and knees as he ages, salt-fried eukamia is a non-negotiable ally. Now, let's travel north to the subalpine zones of southern Siberia and the Altai Mountains. Here we find a herb that is legendary among Russian athletes and even cosmonauts. It's called Raponticum carthamoides, or morel root. The name morel root comes from the morel deer. Local hunters observed that during the rutting season, when the male deer were exhausted from fighting and mating, they would dig up these roots and consume them to restore their strength and virility. Raponicum represents a different class of longevity tool, the anabolic adaptogen. The primary drivers here are compounds called ecdysteroids, specifically one called 20-hydroxyectisone. Now, don't let the steroid part of that name scare you. These are not synthetic anabolic steroids. They are structurally similar to insect molting hormones, but in the human body they behave very differently. They do not bind to our androgen receptors, which is a good thing. It means they don't cause the side effects associated with steroids, like testicular shrinkage or hormonal shutdown. Instead, they stimulate muscle protein synthesis directly. They help your body turn protein into muscle tissue more efficiently. This is critical because sarcopenia, the loss of muscle mass, is one of the primary biomarkers of aging. By helping to preserve lean muscle tissue without disrupting your own hormonal production, Raponticum serves as a safe, long-term ally for physical resilience. It helps you keep the engine of your body running strong. While we are discussing hormonal health, we have to address a herb that often gets giggled at because of its name, epimedium, or horny goatweed. The name is unfortunate because it trivializes a very serious and potent botanical. In the traditional pharmacopoeia, this is a heavy hitter for restoring drive and circulation. But once again, the secret lies in the processing, and this is perhaps the most unusual method of all. To truly activate epimedium for male longevity, it is traditionally stir-fried with sheep fat or suet oil. This sounds strange to modern ears, but the chemistry is sound. The primary active component in epimedium is a flavonoid called icariin. Icariin has poor water solubility. It doesn't absorb well into the bloodstream on its own. The sheep fat acts as a lipid-based delivery system. When the herb is fried in this fat, it helps form what are called mixed micelles during digestion. These are tiny spheres of fat that encapsulate the medicine and carry it across the intestinal wall. Studies have shown that this suet processing significantly increases the bioavailability of the flavonoids compared to the raw herb. It transforms the herb from a simple plant into a targeted delivery system for hormonal support. It's a perfect example of how ancient intuition aligns with modern lipid chemistry. Let's shift gears geographically and head to the African continent. Africa has a rich tradition of vitality herbs that are often overlooked in the West. One of the most compelling is Mondia whitei, also known as white's ginger or mulundo. This is a woody vine with a root that smells delightfully like vanilla and ginger. While many male herbs focus on blood flow or testosterone, Mondia offers something different. It works on the nervous system. It is dopaminergic. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter of desire, motivation, and reward. As men age, dopamine levels can drop, leading to a loss of zest for life, not just sexually, but generally. Mondia helps to modulate this system. It enhances libido by working centrally in the brain, improving the connection between desire and physical response. It's also been shown to have mood-lifting properties, acting as a natural antidepressant in some traditional contexts. This makes Mondia a unique tool for the psychological aspect of longevity, maintaining that spark of interest and drive that keeps us engaging with the world. It's often consumed as a ginger beer or simply chewed fresh, and it provides a comprehensive lift that complements the more structural herbs we discussed earlier. I also want to touch on a powerhouse from the Himalayas, shilajit. While technically not a herb, it's a mineral resin that oozes from rocks. It is composed of decomposed plant matter from millennia ago. In Ayurveda, it is known as the destroyer of weakness. Shilajit is rich in fulvic acid and trace minerals. Its primary role in longevity is mitochondrial support. It helps your cells produce ATP, the energy currency of the body. It also acts as a carrier, helping to transport other nutrients deep into the cellular structure. Think of Shilajit as the ultimate optimizer. It ensures that the minerals and nutrients you consume are actually being utilized. Modern research has also validated its ability to support healthy testosterone levels and sperm parameters, making it a cornerstone of male vitality protocols. Now, as we explore these powerful tools, I have a responsibility to talk about safety. Just because something is natural does not mean it is harmless. There is a plant from South Africa called Bulbine natalensis that gained a lot of cult status in bodybuilding communities a few years ago. In rodent studies, it showed massive spikes in testosterone, outperforming even some pharmaceutical drugs. However, those same studies revealed a dark side. The dosage required to boost testosterone was very close to the dosage that caused damage to the liver and kidneys. It distorted the architecture of these vital organs. This is the toxicity trade-off. Bulbine behaves more like a harsh pharmaceutical than a gentle tonic. For a man seeking longevity, which implies taking something safely for years or decades, Bulbine is not the right choice. It requires rigorous cycling, liver support, and blood work monitoring. I bring this up to contrast it with herbs like Cistanche or Eucamia, which are true tonics meant for long-term accumulation of health. True longevity isn't about a short-term spike at the expense of your organ health. It's about sustainable compound interest for your body. So, how do we integrate all of this? The landscape of male longevity is not about finding one magic bullet. It is about building a team of architects. You use the wine-steamed Cistanche to maintain your metabolic baseline and mitochondrial function. You employ the salt-fried Eucamia to keep your frame, your bones, and your joints robust enough to carry you through life. You utilize Rapunticum to preserve the muscle mass that protects your metabolism. And you perhaps bring in Mondia or Epimedium to ensure the fires of drive and circulation remain lit. It is about becoming a sophisticated curator of your own biology. It means demanding quality. It means asking, is this Cistanche processed? Is this Eucamia salt-fried? It means understanding that the wisdom of the past, these techniques of frying in salt or steaming in wine, are not superstitions. They are sophisticated pharmaceutical technologies developed over centuries of observation. When you respect the plant and the process, you unlock a level of vitality that is rare in the modern world. You move from simply surviving the aging process to actively designing your experience of it. If you found this information valuable and want to explore these botanical architects further, I encourage you to look deeper into the sourcing and preparation methods we discussed. To learn more, please visit us at backtoyourrootsherbs.com. The direct link for information on longevity herbs for men is in the description below. Thank you for listening, and here is to your resilience, your strength, and your longevity. Until next time.